Hello viewers, welcome to the video lecture series for the job role of hand embroiderer class 10, Unit 2, Session 1. So today we will learn herringbone ladder stitch and raised herringbone stitch. Both of these stitches are the variation of herringbone stitch. This stitch is mostly used to decorate double line borders. You can embroider the herringbone ladder stitch using a single color or by choosing two contrasting colors to create an exciting pattern. The distance between two parallel lines of the back stitch and the stitches sizes will define how dense the stitch will look. Raised herringbone stitch is also a variation of herringbone stitch. Raised herringbone stitch is a beautiful and easy way to fill in the shape of a design, and it is specially useful to embroider leaf designs. It creates a raised and embossed look in the leaves. So before starting the stitch, let us first look at the materials that are required. We'll be needing design on the butter paper, carbon paper, pen, pencil, scissors, embroidery hoop, embroidery floss or thread, needles, fabric. The fabric should be starch free and well ironed. Once we have gathered all the material, let us start doing the embroidery. The first step is tracing the design onto the fabric. For that, we'll take the design that has been drawn on the butter paper or on a normal paper, and we'll place the fabric on a flat surface first. Then we'll keep the carbon paper carbon side down on the fabric, and then we'll place our design on it. We'll hold it tight, and then using a pencil or a pen, we will trace over the design lines. The design should be selected as per the type of the stitch. Here we are using ladder herringbone stitch and raised herringbone stitch. So accordingly, we have taken a double line design in which the lines are moving parallel, and it also includes leaf design where we will apply raised herringbone stitch. The design should be selected as per the stitch we are doing on the motif. Carefully trace over the design lines without moving the butter paper, carbon paper and the fabric. You can also pin it on place while tracing. This way, our design is now traced onto the fabric. We'll remove the carbon paper and just check it. Our design is now completely traced on the fabric. The next step is hooping the fabric. For that, we'll take an embroidery frame or hoop. We'll open its ring and we'll place the small ring down. We'll keep the fabric on it, and then we will take the bigger ring and place it over the smaller ring. We'll fix it and slowly stretch the fabric from all sides. When you are sure that it is completely stretched and tight, you can tighten the screw on the bigger ring of the hoop. The next step is threading the needle. As we know, an embroidery floss has 6 strands. For this embroidery work, I am using 3 strands. For that, we'll take the embroidery floss with 6 strands, cut an appropriate length, and then separate 3 strands from it. After separating, we'll insert the thread through a needle. And at the end, we'll give a knot. Next step is starting the embroidery work. To do the ladder herringbone stitch, we'll first make the 2 parallel lines of back stitch. For that, I am starting a point ahead from my design. I'll take back a stitch and move in front. Again, come back and move ahead and take a stitch. These stitches should be equal in length so that when they are looped to form ladder herringbone stitch, they look symmetrical. We'll continue this over both the parallel lines. Take a stitch back, move forward. The stitch length should be equal. Continue the stitch so that both the parallel lines are done. Continue with the back stitch in all the parallel lines. When the back stitch is complete, bring the needle to the wrong side. Create a loop of thread and insert the needle through it. This will lock the stitch. Cut the extra thread using a scissor. Now, as we have to loop it with ladder herringbone stitch, we'll start looping the back stitch using the ladder herringbone stitch. For this, I have threaded a contrast color thread in my needle, and I will start from a tip of a design by bringing the needle to the right side. So in these two parallel lines, we can see that this area is smaller and this line is longer. So we'll make herringbone stitch by inserting the needle on the opposite side line, bringing it back and then to the first line, one stitch ahead of the first stitch, bringing it back to the stitch and then again to the opposite line, just like we make the basic herringbone stitch. And we'll keep on looping the back stitch with the contrast thread from one line to another. This looping is only done by passing the needle through the back stitch, and make sure that you do not pierce the fabric. So the thread that I am looping right now will not be visible from the back side, as it is only on the front side. We are only using it to loop the back stitches. We will continue doing the same till the end of the design. We are simply performing the basic herringbone stitch, but we are passing it through both the parallel lines of back stitch to create a ladder look. That is why this stitch is called ladder herringbone stitch. With this, the looping of two parallel back stitch is complete, and in this way the ladder herringbone stitch is done. We can take the thread to the wrong side, make a loop, insert the needle through it to create a knot, and at the end we can cut the straight thread using a scissor. We can clearly see from the back side also that the loop thread is not visible on the wrong side. It is only visible on the right side of the sample. For making the raised herringbone stitch, we will thread the needle and we will bring the needle on the right side. As we know that this stitch is mainly used to fill the leaves. So in this design we are filling the leaf pattern. We will bring the needle above from the bottom of the leaf and we will make a straight stitch till the center of the leaf. Now bring the needle to the tip of the leaf. Then insert this needle through the stitch we have made, and now make a cross or a stitch around the first stitch from right to left. Again insert from the central stitch, straight stitch we made it in the front, and then From one end of the leaf to the other, right to left, we have to take a stitch. Again, insert the needle through the straight stitch, then right to left, a stitch crossing the straight line. We can see the stitches are now overlapping, creating a raised effect. Again, insert the needle through the straight stitch, then from the right corner to the left corner of the leaf. Again, insert the needle from the straight stitch made at the center, then take a stitch from right side to the left side of the leaf. Again, insert the needle at the center, take a stitch from right to left. Continue doing this to fill the whole leaf pattern. At the end, you can insert the needle through the fabric, bring it on the wrong side and lock the thread by making a loop and passing the needle through it. With this, we have completed our raised herringbone stitch, and we can check the wrong side, finish all the straight threads using a scissor. Both the variations of herringbone, ladder herringbone stitch and raised herringbone stitch are complete now. Now, the last step is to remove the hoop from the frame. For that, we'll first loosen the screw over the bigger ring and we'll remove the hoop slowly. As we can see, the fabric is having the marks of the loop. To remove these, we can place the fabric on a flat surface and iron it well. In this way, our embroidery is done. So let me summarize now the steps of doing herringbone ladder and raised herringbone stitch. First, trace the design, then fix the fabric on the frame or a hoop, thread the needle, then form the herringbone ladder stitch and the raised herringbone stitch. At the end, lock the thread and clip all the straight threads. Remove the fabric from the hoop and iron it well. This is all for this video. Keep practicing and enjoy learning. Thank you.